This video examines the transition from the Articles of Confederation to the United States Constitution. We will explore the structure of both governments, the failures of the Articles, and how the Constitution addressed these issues through federalism, checks and balances, and the creation of a stronger central government. As James Madison noted, the success of a republican system rests on the virtue and wisdom of the people and those they elect to represent them. The Articles of Confederation were developed starting in 1776, following a draft by John Dickinson that proposed a loose, quote, league of friendship among states. Disputes over Western land claims delayed final ratification until 1781. Under the Articles, the government was defined by 13 independent states and a single branch of government, Congress. This structure was designed to keep the central government strictly limited. Federalism under the Articles established clear distinctions between federal and state powers. While the federal government held specific enumerated powers like taxing and regulating commerce, states retained all other authority, including local trade and voting laws. The Articles of Confederation faced significant weaknesses, including the lack of an executive branch, a high court, and the power to regulate the economy. The Constitution addressed these by creating 3 branches, an amendment process, and a Bill of Rights. One success under the Articles was the Land Ordinance of 1785. It provided a system for selling land to pay national debt, supported public education, and reduced legal confusion regarding land ownership. The Northwest Ordinance of 1787 was another major success, establishing the process for territories to become future states and prohibiting slavery within those new regions. Post-war, the nation struggled with economic weaknesses. The central government could not effectively raise funds for war debts or regulate disparate currencies, while states faced aggressive trade restrictions from foreign powers like Britain. Shays' Rebellion in 1786 and 1787, driven by farmers facing heavy debt and taxes, exposed the government's inability to maintain order. This unrest served as a warning that a stronger federal structure was necessary. In response to these events, figures like Thomas Jefferson reflected on the role of rebellion, while others saw the need for a fundamental shift in how the nation was governed. The Constitutional Convention set 4 main objectives: to fix the failures of the Articles, improve interstate trade, build a stronger central government, and manage democratic expectations. James Madison, writing in Federalist No. 51, argued that because human nature is flawed, government must be designed with internal controls to prevent tyranny and limit personal ambition. A core principle of the new Constitution is checks and balances. By creating mutual restrictions among the legislative, executive, and judicial branches, the system prevents any single part of the government from becoming too powerful. This separation of powers is codified in the first 3 articles of the Constitution. The legislative branch makes laws, the executive branch enforces them, and the judicial branch interprets them. The Constitution ensures adaptability through Article 5, which outlines formal amendment procedures. Additionally, the Necessary and Proper Clause, or Elastic Clause, grants the federal government implied powers to address evolving national needs, while the Constitution remains a concise framework. During the drafting of the Constitution, a major debate arose between large and small states regarding representation. The Great Compromise, or Connecticut Compromise, resolved this by establishing a bicameral legislature, population-based representation in the House, and equal representation in the Senate. Federalism is a central pillar of the American system, balancing dual sovereignty. The 10th Amendment formalizes this by reserving any powers not delegated to the national government to the states or to the people. The Constitution also protected the institution of slavery through compromises. This included the 3/5 Compromise, which counted enslaved individuals for taxation and representation, and protections that barred federal interference with the slave trade until 1807. General Charles C. Pinckney defended these compromises, arguing they were necessary to secure what he termed a, quote, species of property, reflecting the deep entrenchment of slavery in the constitutional framework. Critics argue that parts of the Constitution were anti-revolutionary, as they prioritized elite interests and property rights while limiting direct democratic participation through mechanisms like the Electoral College. Alexander Hamilton expressed skepticism toward direct democracy, famously stating that the people are often, quote, turbulent and changing, suggesting that a system relying too heavily on them could lead to instability or even monarchy. James Madison shared similar concerns, describing direct democracies as, quote, spectacles of turbulence. He argued that such systems were incompatible with the protection of property and personal security, justifying the creation of a more mediated republican system. At its ratification, the Constitution contained significant limitations on democratic access. The president was elected via the Electoral College, senators were chosen by state legislatures, judges were appointed, and voting rights were restricted to property-owning white men. The constitutional design is built upon 4 core principles: federalism, the separation of powers, built-in flexibility for evolution, and the protection of individual civil liberties. Thomas Jefferson's 1802 letter to the Danbury Baptists introduced the metaphor of a wall of separation between church and state, underscoring the revolutionary nature of protecting religious conscience from government interference. Article 6 of the Constitution further reinforces this secular standard with the No Religious Test Clause, which prohibits using religious affiliation as a qualification for any public office or trust. The First Amendment serves as the foundation for individual expression, guaranteeing the freedom of religion, speech, and the press, as well as the right to assemble and petition the government. The Constitutional Convention was characterized by intense conflicts. Delegates argued over the extent of federal versus state power, the structure of legislative representation, and regional differences, particularly regarding the status of slavery. Ultimately, the Constitution emerged as a series of delicate compromises. These foundational debates continue to influence American governance, balancing the needs for a functional national union with the rights of states and individuals. The ratification process sparked a national debate between Federalists and Anti-Federalists. Federalists, led by Hamilton, Madison, and Jay, advocated for a stronger national government, while figures like Patrick Henry and Sam Adams, representing the Anti-Federalists, feared the loss of state power and individual liberties. Ultimately, the Federalists gained an advantage through superior organization and the persuasive arguments of the Federalist Papers. While the Constitution lacked a Bill of Rights initially, proponents successfully navigated these concerns to establish the framework of our modern government.